Hello. Hi, Dani. How are you? Thank you for being here.
Great.
I'm
Thank
not even
you.
going to bother introducing Dani Woolf because, if you do not know, that's just a you problem. And at this point, that's just ridiculous. We're not going to do that. So I'm not
Oh,
introducing Dani Woolf. You guys are just going to have to go and Google it. And believe me, you will have a lot of information. So that's just, I'm not even going to. And I have so much to get into. So I'm going to just dive right in, Dani, if that's okay with you.
let's go.
First off, you are in like earthquake country, as we saw with yesterday's thing. So I just want to ask, obviously you're not going to be able to predict that. Oh, looks like this is what happens with earthquake country. Goodness, it's
Sorry.
like it's like I willed it.
Yeah, you see, you cannot. It's Murphy's law.
Manifestation. I'm not going to say a word now.
No, actually, it was my fat finger syndrome. I apologize. Yeah, it was an interesting session yesterday. For those of you who don't know, I was in the middle of a live stream and we had a 4.3 earthquake, literally smack dab in the middle, and I couldn't get my mind back and focused. So
I yeah.
hopefully, I'm a little sharper today.
No, it's that can be very disturbing. I can't even imagine. I mean,
Well,
I'd have been
you
like,
know.
"Yeah, that's it for me today. Bye-bye, good night." Yeah.
Well, it wasn't too bad, just, it's a little off topic, so I apologize for taking up some time, but it wasn't too bad. It was really, really short, like a split second of a little bit of
Yeah.
jumping, but I'm used to earthquakes. I grew up in Southern California. It's not
Yeah.
pleasant,
Uh-huh.
but there could be worse things that happen, so, blessed that we're all okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that's okay.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So I'll jump right in. I want to talk about tooling right away, right? Because
Okay.
we have a lot to get into that, like I have a list. So have you been using any great tools, or do you know of any great tools that are used to gather ICP data? Just or even develop ICP data or like streamline it from within your own data, within the company.
Yeah, that's a great question. I love that we're starting with this because when I started off really digging in deep on and doubling down on qualitative customer research, a
Mhm.
lot of it was done manually, and
Mhm.
you can imagine how much time it takes to, distill conversations and insights manually. I mean, a year ago, even more, there are tools that let you kind of speed up the process, but now with AI and the new tools that are being developed, it's just, oh my gosh, it's a breath of fresh air, and it's bought me back so much time because I can just funnel in conversations and it'll just do the work for me, you
Mhm.
know? So there are some tools that I'm using, that several folks are familiar with. I mean, Salesforce, Gong, they have AI functionality in there, so you're able to kind of distill information and understand your ideal customer profile a little bit better. You have Zoom, right, which has AI companion. So if you want to kind of get the gist of your conversations from your ideal customer calls, then that's a good way. But what I do for the podcasting, because a lot of the podcasting I do is an interview, a customer interview. I use a tool called Decipher. I also use a tool called Cast Magic, which is
Mhm.
phenomenal. I don't know if you're familiar with Cast Magic. It allows you to create custom prompts there. I mean, ChatGPT obviously you can use, and Claude as well for some of the distillation or that kind of stuff. But Cast Magic is absolutely phenomenal because it allows you to again create that prompt and feed in your podcasts or your customer conversations into the tool, and it'll automatically just spit out the customer discovery or whatever the prompt is,
Mhm.
and it does a very good job. I've used a lot of tools in the past year. This is the one that I'm just absolutely thrilled with.
Mhm.
Um, so that's from a qualitative standpoint. The quantitative standpoint, I need to get into that a little bit more. I think I'm going to start doing that this year, so I can't really speak to that, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight.
Absolutely. Um, are all of these tools something that, have you seen it to work, especially when it comes to, I mean, but then that would be quantitative, I suppose, in terms of skill, right? Like, so one of the things that I was talking to Abhishek about over at Palo Alto Networks was the same thing. Was he was doing something similar where he would talk to the customer and then have transcripts, and then just at scale upload these transcripts as a PDF or whatever, and then be able to identify patterns of the same problems, the same issues that every customer is facing. I mean, I can imagine this working at scale. I just can't see patterns forming in, like, for example, 50 or 100 ICP data points. So that becomes, the real challenge when it comes to ICP, especially for startups, something that's like a year or 2 years old and you don't really have enough data. So
Yeah.
do you think that might help there?
Well, first of all, I think you need to understand what trends you're looking for, right? It's like you can't expect the tool to just define it for you out the gate. I mean, I imagine there are tools that could do a good job of that, but and this is where, I mean, we might be talking about this later in the conversation, where like the manual work does is required when you're using AI. So um defining at least what are the trends that you want to look for, and having the tool pull that out for you as best as possible is critical. And then even when you prompt the tool, and you even when you prompt the tool but also define what the trends are in that prompt, you have to also make sure you're specific enough to give the signals to the tool to be able to define those trends. There's a lot of manual work behind the scenes to actually get the system trained, right? And pulling out the right data. But yeah, that's a good question. I might have to circle back on that and like come back to that question eventually offline, because you're asking really, really deep questions, which I love. And it might be worth having another conversation down the line after I do even
Absolutely.
more research and play with more,
Yeah,
systems.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely. How on the point of, like, being able to get the right data points, which has to be manual at some point. I get that, but have you found a good method that kind of works to, like, what data points to gather, and also how to feed it in a natural language process so that this isn't becoming yet another syntax development issue within the marketing frame, right? Like, because again, it becomes about, like, me teaching everybody in the marketing team how to use that specific syntax and then get that. So you still want to have natural language there, but have you found some sort of framework that works um, on getting those right data points in a manual way, and then being able to, like, get the AI to learn from it? Like, which
I
ones
hope
work better than others?
I
That
hope I hope I'm answering your question, but really what I do is whatever gets, whatever the tool spits out for me,
Mhm.
I validate it with human beings, not just through me.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Validation, yeah.
Yeah, I have to validate it, or, like, look back or listen back at conversations that I've had to
Mhm.
see if it's matching. And, like, surprisingly, it does a really, like, s good job. Frighteningly does a good job. It's alarming a little bit. What was the second part of your question?
I'm just wondering if you have, like, so what I'm looking for is, like, something like, like, every marketing manager has a doc, right? Like, some document that has, like, "Oh, these are the things I'm looking for in my ICP." And if it checks these boxes, this is, like, high on my list, and if not, then it's, like, sort of like 4 star. And then, because that's one of the things that those badge scans at RSA are doing, right? Is like, oh, how hot is this lead, or how hot. So when it comes to that, that's the information that kind of, like, separates the really good leads from, like, the leads. So that information, I'm trying to figure out if everybody else has a better system or a different system or a system that I can hone, perhaps. um in being able to feed that information into an AI and get the right patterns back. So I know how, um, so I know what I'm looking for in my next customer. These are patterns that even I'm not seeing, right? So that's the hope, is that it's teaching me something I don't already know.
Yeah, wow, you're stumping me here.
I'm sorry.
I'm so I don't know. I gotta think on that too. Wow, I'm the clearly not prepared for this call.
No.
But no, you know what? We should look into that together. Again,
Okay.
I'm happy to look into that because you're teaching me some new things with these questions. I had to do a little bit of digging and like really deep thinking on this stuff. So let's work together on finding that out because I haven't seen anything.
All right. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next thing that I wanted to ask. How can we use AI to enhance the personalization of marketing campaigns? Because that's become the real problem. This week, I must have seen about 20 posts about people just like whining about, oh, I'm getting these emails that have either nothing to do with me, or they're just too much, or they're like inundating my inbox to the point where I don't want to do business with that company anymore.
Mhm.
So it how can we use AI to kind of personalize marketing campaigns, and what impact does this have on customer loyalty and retention?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, we can break that into two kind of segments. So, well, there are a lot of ways to utilize AI to personalize, outreach or campaigns. One way is to at scale sift through your customer conversations. So if you're looking to reach a particular audience and learn about their initial pain points or triggers to initiate a conversation,
Mhm,
look through similar profiles through your Gong database if you have Gong, or through Salesforce, or upload, general conversations into Claude and distill those information, or into Cast Magic. You could use specific tools like you.com to research particular topics or companies. Those are kind of two ways. You can use AI to better frame your copy. I use AI for copy
mhm,
sometimes as well. So, with all the research you've done through those tools to extract the information, then you can plug it into a prompt for
mhm,
better outreach. After you've done your research on topics, on pain points, on individuals. So I think
mhm,
those are kind of the three ways I would do it. I'm kind of harping on Gong here, but I think they're okay with some of their AI functionality. I think they can do a little bit of a better job given their impact and scale. But they're okay. It requires a little bit of manual work to understand those customer conversations in Gong with some of the AI functionality they have,
mhm,
um, which is why I like to blend different tools.
mhm.
Um, I have a cool prompt document that I wanna share with everything regarding Gong. It's kinda cool.
I'm all
Um,
thumbs. Hmm.
yeah, so that's kinda where I would start. I tread lightly with AI these days because it's just like it's booming right now. There's still a lot of innovation.
Mm.
It's still unclear the validity of some of the tools and the output,
Yeah.
which is why I urge people to really comb through the data
Yeah.
that comes
Read.
out, right? I cannot rely on it 100%. I use it as lane lines, and then I work to kind of refine and validate with a lot of the conversations and data I already have.
Mhm. That's
Does that
that's
answer the
exactly.
question?
Yeah, no, yeah, it does. I see what you mean in terms of the validation. It has to be done. I feel like people just like copy and paste it, and that's how they end up with like a really bad output. And it's also junky, and you can tell that it's written by an
Yeah.
AI. And one of the things that I feel like a lot of AI users don't do well is bringing their unique voice to each prompt, which can be as simple as, for example, if you were writing, say, a blog post, and you upload a blog post as an example of something that you have written, so it knows to like bring your unique voice to it. That's one of the things that, just good formatting, good prompting, it should start feeling like it's called an assistant for a reason. It has to take from you and just like be able to sharpen the edges and project your voice onto things. It cannot be fully automated. I mean, it could, but it just won't be great. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So,
100%. I do that,
um,
by the way, in my prompts. I tell the system, the tool, who I am, what I
mhm,
do, who I do it for, why I do it,
mhm,
how I want to sound. Sometimes I ask. I
exactly.
sometimes I upload my content. I ask. how do I sound? If I don't know how to identify how I sound, how do you think I sound? And then I kind of work with there, and we talk to each other. Um,
Yeah.
but uh, being super prescriptive and specific is so critical to getting really good output. That's 90% there that you
Right.
can use. So
Yeah. One of the things that I found that marketers was suddenly kind of shocked when I was teaching in a session was that I said, "Oh, put in your tone of voice," and now suddenly they're like, "But what is my tone of voice?" So it comes down to a kind of self awareness problem. Sometimes I feel like they don't know what they're supposed to sound like.
yeah,
So sometimes the easiest way is to demonstrate it. So uploading a PDF or something, could
yeah,
make that output look much, much better and more personalized. Um,
100%.
One of the things I wanted to ask you was how can small and medium sized businesses, right? I mean, they are the ones that are utilizing AI right now in a less restrictive way. How can they use it for customer research, even without big budgets, and give them an edge on their competition?
Well, how I started off with really little budget was I just got a subscription to ChatGPT. I would ask them to kind of distill information for me. I would
Mhm.
ask them, what is the insight here? Give me a title for an insight. Give me the summary. Give me the implications for sales development, for demand gen, for the
Yeah.
CMO, and then
Mhm.
give me actionable recommendations on how I could apply this. That, in my opinion, is strides from where you were before if you weren't even doing customer research, or if you were paying $150,000 for an agency to do customer
Yeah.
research. Like, you could just pay what is it, $20 a month or something like that, or 12, I don't
Yeah.
even know. A trivial number, like you could afford it on a personal credit card. The speed at which you could apply insight to your strategies and tactics. It's so much quicker than before. Like before, you would have to be okay. How do I articulate this and plug it into
Mhm.
a campaign? Or you're sitting on loads of data. You have to share it with an executive team. Like, oh, can you spit out like an executive summary from? Because you just don't want the data to sit there. The cost to entry for some of these tools is so low that you just need to know how to use it. Maybe we work on a guide together.
Yeah. That
You
sounds fun,
know?
actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I've seen someone use is here are a list of my competitors' websites. What is it that they're doing in their homepage to convert better that I'm not doing? That was one of those things that kind of gives you immediate, easily, like low hanging fruit stuff, right? At this point.
That's
Um,
interesting. But then in the lens of who?
that becomes the problem again. You would have to build that into your prompt as well,
Mhm.
depending on which part of this would appeal to which visitor, I think,
Yes.
and the ICP would become very important at that point, right? Yeah. This again comes back to the ICP issue. If you don't know who your website visitors are, even if you're going with something that's easily approachable, like tools like Candy and stuff like that, you can't afford 6 cents and you're using Candy. Um, Even then, being able to like comb through all that information, even at 20,000 visits a month, you're still considered SME, right?
Mm,
Think about like manually having to like comb through that information. Seems like crazy. I was like, now that I'm doing it this way, I'm like, I can't imagine what I was doing before.
yeah, seriously. Um, have you come across any tools that, take data at scale, and process it? I came across Clay. Have you heard about Clay?
Play is good. Yeah. Yeah. I
Clay
mean,
is, like, pretty
yeah.
legit. I think Clay does a really good job to understand like, that's a great tool to help you, at scale and quickly kind of distill data,
Mhm.
especially if you wanna understand your ideal customer. What is the, like,
Mhm.
best way that we can like, who is the best target for revenue creation too? I think Clay is a great tool, but I'm wondering if you've come across any other ones.
So a lot of people that I have spoken to have told me about they do like Candy. I don't think it is able to fully develop an ICP from it, but it can give you raw data and then be able to break down some of that demographic stuff, like where they're from, what they might like, that kind of stuff. And then SEMrush can help you kind of build an ICP profile from that.
Is
From
this
that,
a date is Candy the dating one? Hold on.
oh
I see like, "Are you a male or a female? Do you wanna meet a female?" Or
no.
I'm like, maybe I'm in the wrong
It's oh my god, that's hilarious. Candy with and this part is gonna be funny, 2 Ds.
Oh gosh. Because you put in Candy AI, it's like not safe for work.
No.
Oh
Okay, I'm
gosh.
gonna drop that in the comments. Oh my god. So, this was actually, something that Sarah got me onto. She's over at, what am I thinking of? Varun Bhargava's company. What labs? Endor Labs. Yeah, the head of demand
Got
gen
you.
Endor. Yeah, so she got me onto this tool, and then it's just, it's 6 cents, but, like, super cheap. It's without the bells and whistles and all of that.
Send that to me because I wanted to do that, kind
I'll
of
drop it in the
wanted
comments.
to do that. Yeah, I definitely don't wanna create my own AI girlfriend. I'm exiting this. Um, but, send that to me because I wanna take a look at that. What I was doing actually earlier with, some of the stuff that I built with the cyber brain, which is just all of my insights distilled and, like, it's a repository of qualitative research for security vendors, is the intent side of things. That's what was missing for me, and I didn't find a good tool or a good way to kind of pull that, even, like, with the qualitative interviews that I've done, like, and the understanding I have and with some of my, you know, with my network. So if that's something that I could kinda tap into, I'd love to take a look at that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll send that to you as well, and I'll drop it in the
Great.
comments. Karen, was just commenting, ensure your prompt has objective content type perspective, and then on I didn't know you could just say objective content and it would give you that. That's something I have to try now. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
like a A/B test between, Gemini and ChatGPT and see if that works.
Yeah.
Um, I'm
That works well for me.
didn't
Uh,
realize that that would do that. I'm gonna try that.
yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. What do you think the future holds for AI in marketing? I understand this is crystal ball stuff at this point.
Yeah.
But if I want to ask you guys, and whom I'm gonna ask, you know? So particularly with specialized fields like cybersecurity and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not asking you about things you don't know. So see? So yeah.
Yeah, no, no. I think it's still gonna be, can I curse here on this podcast? I don't know.
Absolutely go for it.
I think it's still gonna be a shit show. I think a lot of people are still experimenting. It's still gonna be unclear where, oh, Karen, thank you. Where things are going. Obviously, there's the issue of, governance and privacy and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to get into that rabbit hole, but I hear it a lot. I'm concerned about it as well. Like, is my data really private? Is it not? Because I'm putting a lot of, IP into these systems, and so I think people are gonna. There might be some crackdowns in the near or distant future, hopefully. I think we should tighten it up a little bit. But
Mhm,
I'm eager to see a lot more. I forecast that there will be a lot more innovation in particular niches and markets that we didn't think would leverage AI. I don't know what yet, but I just intuitively feel it. I think I need to do a lot more research on AI and the implications with regards to customer research, both quant and qual. So I'm going to start digging into that,
mhm,
especially with some of the tools that I'm building as well. Um, but I definitely think that there are going to be some really cool innovation that we didn't expect in the future.
mhm,
My hope is also that, you know, unfortunately, AI is causing a lot of people to be very lazy.
mhm,
And my hope is that those behaviors won't create a massive impact on the way buyers buy because it's already difficult, if that makes sense. I mean, the innovation is cool, but like, what is the impact is going to have on the way we behave
mhm,
as a market, not just for security, but overall in the tech community, right? So, again, I love these questions because it's really pushing pushing my
Frontal
brain a
lobes.
little bit. Yeah, yes. When you think about that, and when you think about the fact that it is causing people to be lazy, like, how is that going to impact also people who are trying to affect change in this industry, like myself and others in the security community and the marketing community? So, it's causing even more friction, right?
Mhm.
Which is a challenge. So those are things on my mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think one of the big worries is always going to be that right now that, oh my God, people are going to lose jobs and all of that. That especially marketers, I feel like they're worried when it comes to like content creators and marketers and even content marketers specifically, right? So one of the things I actually do not believe that to be the case. Yes, some jobs will go probably, but there will be more created. I feel like, and the paradox is always that when something becomes easier, people expect that people move away from it, but that's actually it's the opposite that happens. There's more human activity around things that are easier.
Yeah.
So I actually believe that it might swing the other way eventually. Although I mean, right now it's hard to look at it like that because the fear is so high, it like drowns out everything else.
Yeah.
But I think there is a bit of a course correction that will naturally happen in the next like 10 years. um I'm excited by all the awesome stuff the part that I really love about AI, which I think like everybody else, this is where really smart marketers and marketers kind of like distinguish themselves, is being able to read that data, being able to like break down, which was one of the things that all of us had to do manually. All of us had to create spreadsheets and build in these patterns and find the ICP from thousands and thousands of data points. This is where I feel like the whole game is going to change now, and
Hmm.
because that is available to every single person if they so choose to do it, that is amazing to me. Like that blows my mind. It feels like that is an even playing field now. That's
100%.
table stakes.
Yes.
And so now, you gotta up the ante. So I actually feel the opposite. I feel like it's going to make people less lazy.
Really? Okay, interesting. I might be looking at it from different lenses and use cases too. So
Yeah,
this is interesting. It'll be good to keep tabs on it, and we can
yeah.
take bets. We can take bets.
Um, all right. Are there any new technologies on the horizon that you're excited about? And you're not allowed to say Sora.
No. So I'm working on something, but we'll announce that in
Oh,
July. It's for the security community. I'm excited about the Cybernest. I just joined them as
mhm.
VP
I saw your
marketing, and
post.
they have their own co-pilot, which allows security teams to better collaborate with each other and build continuous learning. So they're utilizing peer peer vetted resources and layering AI into that so that they can pull out the best insights and intelligence for themselves,
Mhm.
among other great features. Um, those are the 2 that I'm very excited about. Like, it's literally, like, the day that we launched it, and I'm just thrilled about it. So I'm gonna mention those 2.
That's fantastic.
Um, but I have to, I think I have to learn from you on some of the tools that are coming out. How about yourself?
Oh my God. I can't say Sora though. My own rules. No, I'm actually just looking forward to GPT-5. I'm interested to see how that works. I have been playing around Gemini and I found better success with that on some fronts. Um, I want to see the future versions of Mid Journey and how that'll pan out. HeyGen has its own thing where I mean, but then there's so much like moral implication with it, with the whole being able to deep fake on it. So I try not to talk about that, but honestly, it's a really cool tool, especially if like obviously you have to get the permissions, you have to have the consent of the person. I shouldn't have to say that, but apparently I do. But if you use their face and then you're creating this like, so I have a CEO who doesn't like to be in front of the camera a lot,
Mhm.
and I can create some really cool content using his face. I can do like entire commercial ads, and I'm just trying to think of like, hey, Jen paired with Sora. Oh my god, the stuff I could make. Yeah, no, I mean, there is no tool that doesn't have immense potential right now. I think like it's interesting.
There are so many, and I use some of them are like the same tool, but the features are different. It's like
Mhm.
it's tool overflow at this point, but there are so many cool things. There are so
Yeah.
many cool things out there. By the way, it may sound silly, but I'm really excited for what Canva is putting out, like,
Yeah,
they're like,
absolutely.
I use Canva on a regular basis, and they've just, like, upped the game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a look at Sora, but I've been getting into, like, CapCut for
Oh,
video,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Uh-huh.
they have some cool AI stuff too,
Yeah.
video AI for, like, chopping up long form content or, like,
Mhm.
Opus Clip, but those are kind of, like, iffy a little bit because 'cause they're clunky.
Yeah, I like
Um,
Descript for that. Yeah.
Descript
Yeah.
is good, but they always require me to update and refresh, which is
Yeah,
annoying.
that's
Um,
annoying.
but I mean, that's the thing. There's so many cool tools and,
Yeah.
like, I use so many of them for different reasons, and it's just like, can we get one system that does
I
everything?
know. I was like, talking to, my CEO and a couple of other people as well. It's like, can a bunch of us kind of get together and create a phenomenal platform that kind of rates
Yeah.
different AI tools, but like, sort of like G2 for just for AI. I feel
Yep.
like it's high time. And then, see, like you just said, like, oh, Descript is great, but like, the updates are a pain. I would love to be able to break that down and compare it
Yeah.
to a bunch of the others. So yeah, no, I would like love to be behind a platform like that. All right, fun stuff. So what's the most surprising or unusual story you've come across regarding AI in marketing?
Um, I'll have I'm gonna highlight some of the WTF moments. It's just
Hmm.
you can tell. I think it's silly, but um, also maybe trivial as well. But you can tell when someone's using AI to spit out copy and content.
The
Es-
digital landscape.
yes, in the evolving landscape
Digital
of whatever, some crap like that. Or if you could tell when people are just automating and using AI through email, and you're just like, oh god, why? So I think it's funny, it's sad, but I think it's funny because it's just this is what I was talking about, people being lazy, and I
Mhm.
get a kick out of it because you could tell, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna bet that that's AI generated and there was no editing
Yeah.
whatsoever there.
Mhm.
So I think that's funny. I think some of the tools, I mean, look, I just landed on Candy AI. Let's make an AI girlfriend. I think that's funny as well. Like the things that people are you making AI with, it's just weird.
Oh.
Um, I didn't imagine that there were AI girlfriends. I know people make AI like avatars to,
Mhm.
create
Mhm.
what, like, Instagram accounts,
Yeah,
and they
they have
make a
4 million
shitload of
followers.
money, like, I'm like, "I'm in the wrong profession." You know?
Exactly. No, no, honestly, I mean, the 4 million followers really give me pause. I'm like, "Should I be doing this?" Like, I did I mean,
I mean, we don't even
it's
need you don't
amazing.
even make it like a face, you could just make
Yeah.
feet at this point, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's silly, like, it's crazy too, so, I don't know, it's just, again, like I said earlier, unexpected things, I'm not in that realm, obviously, but I see these things and I hear about them, and I'm just like, "Okay."
Yeah, so who was it? I think it was George who brought up, DoorDash's recent thing, where they just kind of gave their any restaurant the chance to upload an AI image for, like, say, pasta or whatever, right? And the
Okay.
image is obviously gonna look amazing, and then, like, every customer was like, "Oh, yeah, it didn't look that good."
Yeah.
Once it got there. So it kind of came and bit them in the ass. That was too funny.
These
What did you
things,
think would happen? Like, you'd make pasta that looks better than Stable Diffusion? Come on. Like,
my gosh, the things that exist is just like I'm only like I didn't even scratch the surface at this point. So so much stuff going on. But what about yourself other than that? Have you seen anything silly?
okay, so there was the DoorDash story, and then there was the Scotland thing. I don't know if you saw that one, the one where they had this whole Willy Wonka pop-up experience thing that they charge like $20 for like kids to come and experience a realistic Willy Wonka pop-up experience or whatever. And then the images again were built by AI, and it literally looked like a meth lab. I'm not even exaggerating.
Oh
Like, you
my
should
god.
you should go and look at this story. It's hilarious. There is a woman who has a green wig behind a counter. I mean, they didn't even finish. It was literally tarps, just like colored tarps put up on the wall. It was too funny. That
Oh
was
my
one of
goodness.
those. It's becoming an expectation problem, right? At this point, it's bloated expectations. You're never going to be able to like live up to it, and it's going to fall short. Especially the imagery. I mean, it's too much. It's too pretty. And then the other one I had was I've been messing around with some images on Midjourney and sometimes Dali, and then I find that whole uncanny valley thing. So where you create a human cat, for example, right? And then there's like tiny little. There's something very creepy about it. That it's not something you can really describe. Apparently there is a graph that tells you at what point you're hitting the uncanny valley, uh,
Okay.
and there is a way to measure that scientifically speaking. But I mean, you just know it in your gut, Danny. You're like, this is giving me the creeps. I don't know what it is. It's just something. If it's too human looking, it freaks you out. It's the thing that Sophia was a few years ago. If you remember Sophia, the whole
Oh my.
humanoid robot thing.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Like, there's something just very creepy about it. So, but yeah.
You got me Googling a lot on this session, which is awesome.
No, there's, like, so many things like that, and, it's just there's so many. I can't even get into it. I could, like, reel a bunch of them off, but yeah.
Even the like, headshot stuff is creepy. Like you can kind of feel it's like, and you
That's
can
the
tell
uncanny valley
it's
for you.
yeah, 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 that's it. So and you can tell because I was, I was scrolling through, I don't know if it was LinkedIn or Instagram or last night or this morning or whatever. And I saw like, oh, we'll create, they'll give you 4 headshots. I'm just like, do people recognize that? I mean, I can tell that it's AI. I know you can feel it, the lighting, it's too perfect and it's like weird. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's what's happening, and we already have that problem with filters and all of that,
Yeah.
and do we really want to keep pushing the boundaries of unrealistic standards? I mean, if pasta doesn't look good enough, Danny, at this point, I think, I mean, it's a plate full of beautiful carbs. What is disappointing about
I
that?
know. Now I'm hungry. I actually didn't have lunch. I'm starving. Now I have to think about my Instagram influencer name. I'm gonna make an avatar. I don't know what her name is gonna be.
For the other
Anyway,
time.
yeah.
Oh,
Um,
Mark knows about the Willy Wonka fiasco, and he's like, "Oh, that was an absolute nightmare fuel."
yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. I think I am all out of questions for you. Um, unless you have something that, AI driven marketing stuff that you love that I haven't asked you about. So please tell us.
Yeah, I would just like to reiterate. Actually, like if I may, then I'm going to go back to some of the questions. I think you originally asked me when we were kind of talking offline, like um, what are some of the insights, the AI, how
Mhm.
AI driven insights can dramatically change a marketing strategy. I think, frankly, validation, it provides you validation and it provides you speed. Those are
Right.
two really important
Mhm.
factors with regards to marketing strategy and execution these days, especially. I would say leverage it, lean into AI, leverage AI, but don't just be careful to lean on it too heavily in that you're not making sure that what the output is correct, um, that there are no hallucinations. Play around with it, um, experiment because you don't know. We don't know where it's going to be in the future, right? If like if anything, we're early adopters now, if you
Yeah.
will. And that's a great place to be in, especially
Mhm.
when things start to become more complex. There's more innovation, there are more tools. So coming in early is important. But again, be careful with output, validate and and check against other human beings too, because that human touch we don't want to lose, I think, especially in our industry, the security industry. Like we don't
Yeah,
want to lose the human touch.
absolutely.
um I hope my insights were
Yeah,
impactful. I'm
no,
not an AI pro, but I just use it and I learn along the way, and I lean
no,
on
but
you
that's what
to.
I wanted to know is like how are people using it? But I've done many of these interviews, honestly, and no two people have the exact same use case. That's what's so fascinating for me. Is like everybody, and it's kind of more or less the same industry ish, maybe just slightly parallel, but like not that much. But it seems like everybody has their own thing. So I just wanted to like, that was the purpose of this, is to kind of figure out how others are using it. Are there things I haven't done? Are there things that we can explore together? That's always fun. And then so one of the things that I found out the other day was the whole like one of my doctors, since you said like, we do have a certain responsibility in cybersecurity, especially. um One of my doctor friends the other day actually asked me, um, "Hey, so I've been doing a lot of my patients' notes on and having it crunched by ChatGPT. Do you, since you talk a lot about AI, I wanted to know, is that okay, or am I in violation of HIPAA?" And I'm like, "Oh, girl, you got to lock that up right now. That is
Yeah,
not okay because you're not sure. None of us are sure." So
yeah,
yeah, I mean, maybe just like don't use some very critical things
yeah,
there. But yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Danny. Thank you for your time. I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, I'm gonna hit you up offline, and we might
Absolutely.
have some posts that we can put in together, and data,
Sure.
and because I mean, I learned a lot from you today in just a short
Thank
43
you.
minutes. So
That's
this
so
is
nice.
awesome.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, thank you.
I have ended